Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video. So, we're going to be talking about the second spooky champ for the month of October for Halloween. Of course, we first had Dracula, who, when the original deep dives first launched, he was the one that I was most excited about. Wasn't even close, wasn't even a competition. But then he came out, and I actually played him for myself, and the damage is just so mid. And he's supposed to be a 4 out of 5, and the regen for the Immortal Vampire, just kind of trash. So, Dracula was a very big disappointment. And, it's kind of the complete opposite with Frankenstein, because looking at him, I wasn't expecting much. But he actually started to grow on me. Not at first. At first, I did not like him, at all. He has a very particular play style, but if you kind of get used to it, then you kind of start to cook, and then it gets kind of crazy, and then it's also kind of fun. So, yeah, I feel like he's kind of a reverse of Dracula. I had no expectations for him, think he was going to be kind of bad, but he's actually kind of good. And the skill class always needs more good champions. So, he's super duper weird. Oh, and of course the abilities are going to be bugged, so let me go ahead and pull that up on my computer, I suppose. Righty. There we go. Bro. Survivability is a 4. Damage is a 4. So him and Dracula have the same damage, which is wild. Interesting. This guy definitely has more damage, I would say. But I don't know if I give it a 4. Maybe like a 3, 3.5. But some notable things about Frank, is that he has some great immunity. So straight up immune to poison. Another skill champion that's immune to poison. I think you got Yelena recently. It's pretty rare in the skill class. He's also immune to petrify and specter effects, which is some really nice utility actually. This also sets Frank's regeneration rate to 65%, preventing it from being reduced any further. So in any meta where there's going to be regen, your typical leader voids, they're just not going to affect this guy at all. He's just going to keep healing. So being too angry to die, he also basically just has willpower built in. So the main thing with Frank is getting that unstoppable going. You really want to be triggering that unstoppable all the time, and it's nice because you can actually get hit with him. That's going to trigger a rage debuff that it does nothing, but it's going to give you free willpower healing. And again, you can't really stop his healing. So it's really nice. It's kind of like a light version of Kingpin's healing, essentially. He also grants stun immunity while unstoppable. So if you get hit, you're not just going to get stun locked into oblivion. You don't have to worry about that, which is really nice. And then basically how you build up your damage is you build up Berserk. And Berserk only increases your attack while you're unstoppable. So again, that's the key to playing, and that's the key to getting out the most damage. The heavy attack is going to apply Incinerate, which you want to stack up those Incinerates. That's a key core component of his loop. And you want to start with the special too, because that's going to give you a bunch of these Berserk passives. That's really going to increase your attack. They cap out at 6. And then you're going to apply a bunch of Incinerates as well with that special 2. So pretty much you start with the special 2. Get the Berserk, get the Incinerates built up, weave in some heavies, and then cash in with the special 1. He's really simple, actually. From a loop perspective, it's just getting used to him is the tricky thing. And then the special 3, Frank gains 50% of missing health as adrenaline. He also can increase his adrenaline healing. Passive stun the opponent, and for the next 10 seconds, Frank's light and medium attack inflict 1 Incinerate. Inflict 1 of the Incinerates from his special attack 2. And then the Awaken ability, you can get more crit rate. While the opponent is incinerated, Frank also gets energy penetration, double when fighting science champs. And whenever Frank activates special, he gains Undying for 10 seconds. If this Undying prevents him from being knocked out, he gains a personal rage debuff that you can heal from. So those are the abilities. Just kind of skimmed over it. I don't have gameplay of one fight I really want to show you, so we're going to start with that. And that is High Evolutionary. I actually ran out of stuff to rank him up on the beta, so he's only ranked 2. But we're just going to be using a 6-star Frank to kind of simulate this fight. He's also not on the CCP testing map, so yeah, I can't show it. Unlike my main, on the main server, I have High Evo at rank 4, but my beta account is behind. But yeah, this is absolutely one of Frank's best matchups. I haven't tried it before, though, so let's give it a try right now together, see how it goes. So we're just going to start the fight with a heavy. So when we're going to run up, You can see we just don't care about the auto block, which is nice. Alright, bait this out. Boom. Just breaking through that block. We don't care. And then another thing you can do is just block the end of the special. And that's going to also trigger the unstoppable. So that's something I like to do. Alright, and then we throw the special 2 now. Build up the Berserker passives. Get a bunch of Incinerates. Alright, boom, he's crushed. Then we rip the special 1. You see we're getting off some big damage. Oh no, I triggered his special 2. It's alright though. Oh, we're getting hit. It's alright though. Because we're just going to heal. So yeah, if I didn't take all the hits, you know, it would have been a cleaner fight. But you can see he has the kit to do very well against High Evolutionary, because when you have that unstoppable, you're also applying a passive crushed to the opponent. So it's really good against auto blockers like High Evolutionary and like MODOK. So yeah, just quick showcase on that fight. Now let's go ahead and jump to the CCP testing map, and I got a bunch more fights, but of course some Winter Soldier and Captain Marvel and Rumble Legend as well. Let's run it. Alright guys, jumping straight into some Realm of Legends. Let's get in here. Winter Soldier, and we're going to fight Captain Marvel as well. So, I definitely do not claim to be like a Frankencastle pro or expert. You know, I've played with him for only a couple, like 2 or 3 hours maybe at most. And he's definitely, again, he has the playstyle that it takes some practice. It takes getting used to. I'm still learning. But I'm getting better. The more I play with him, of course, the better I get with him. That's how it's going to work with like pretty much any champion. So here I've managed to build up 4 Incinerate debuffs, and then boom, we drop this. Like, it sets up to 12 of those debuffs. So that's great. We're going to throw the Relic, which also applies energy vulnerability. Get off another heavy. It looks like we're capping out at 12 of those Incinerates. And then again, block the special, and then immediately go in, and then boom, he's dead. He's dead. That was fast as fudge. That was so clean. That was easy. I did this fight like probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 times. That was the fastest run I got, and that was 42. I had a couple 44 seconds, 46, 48, but 42 seconds. And I'm sure I could go even faster if I kept trying. I feel like I could get it under 40 seconds. But yeah, let's just watch the ending there and pay attention to the damage, you know. So what's going on right here? So a couple things. We have our unstoppable passive. We have 6, which is our max of the Berserk. So the Berserk, you don't get the attack increase unless you're unstoppable. That was one thing that took a while for my brain to click on. And then once I figured out, I'm like, oh, now I understand. Because my damage felt so inconsistent. I'm like, oh, okay, I just need to be unstoppable for the big damage payoff. And then, boom, so we drop the special 1. And boom, on each of those bullets, you see we're doing 52,000 damage in red. Boom. That's over, like, well over 150,000 special 1. It's not bad. That's pretty good, dude. So you can kind of see why he has a 4 out of 5 on the damage, because he's actually doing some pretty monstrous damage, unlike Dracula. Alright, let's jump into Captain Marvel, though. And this matchup is a little different because her specials, like her special 1, it's a 1-hit. So I don't think we're getting the unstoppable passive triggering at the end of that. So right there you see I got hit there. So that gives us the rage debuff. So that's just like a regen. That's essentially a regen buff. Essentially, you know. It's not, but it is. You know. So here we have 2 Incinerates. Drop the special 2. Boom. Alright, there's 10 Incinerates now. And you can see we're just topped out full health from that rage. Boom, just eat the special there. That's obviously didn't mean to do that. But then here we throw the special 1. Got some 40,000 bursts right there. Not bad. Then here I'm just trying to get my run up. But again, I get clocked by the special. Again, still practicing. That can absolutely happen. It's going to happen when you first start playing him. But he can take a hit. You know, that's 45 seconds. But that's the great thing about Frank. He can take a hit. It's fine. In a lot of scenarios, you want to be taking hits on purpose. Ideally, when you're unstoppable, but still, he's a tank. He's an absolute Frank the Tank. That should be his nickname, dude. He's going to absorb damage for you. So here we're going to get into one of his bad matchups, I would call it. It probably took me like 10 fights, 10 attempts to get this Photon clip. This is a pretty poor matchup for him, but I wanted to show it off still, and it is doable. So right there, you can parry the end of her special, and then get the unstoppable and go in. Right there, we got hit on purpose. Alright, you can see we're hitting pretty hard, man. And then here we drop this, but now she's going to go into her pure light. So here we need to get a good opening. So I just go for a relic. That doesn't work. But boom, we go for the crush, and then she's dead. So she actually died before I was even able to cash in on my big special 1 damage. So dude, Frank the Tank absolutely has damage. There's no disputing that. If I got my special 1 off, again, it would have been like easily 100k damage right there. So that was rank 4 Frank versus rank 4 Photon. She died in 42 seconds. We came out there with 90% health. Again, this took me many attempts to get such a clean run. And in a battleground scenario, I'm sure Inequity will be reducing our attack. But again, I didn't even get to finish my loop. So even with Inequity, if you could get off the loop without taking too much damage, it can work. But it's just definitely not one of his best matchups. I'm going to show you guys another matchup that is definitely not Frank's bread and butter, but like you can kind of brute force through, kind of, and that is Spider-Woman. So, you know, he doesn't really have a good way to counter evasion. So if the RNG doesn't go your way against her, it can be bad. But again, like I told you guys, but we're lagging here. Hold on. Is this? What's going on? One sec. Alright guys, sorry about that. I was having some technical issues on Air Server, which is what I used to mirror my phone to my computer. It just kind of crashed out on me. But we are back, and I kind of forgot where my train of thought was, but something along the lines of Frank is a tank. And even though this is not an ideal matchup for him at all, he can kind of find a way to brute force his way through. But there, I'd say two big things here. The first one is the evade. It's the biggest issue, and right there, when Spider-Woman is facing Unstoppable, she triggers an evade buff too, just on top of her natural evade, which is really annoying. But having the crushed definitely helps, because if she evaded on any part of that special, it would have connected still. However, that's another big issue right there, is she's just throwing her special 1 into my block, which is super duper fun, you know? And so right here, I just end the fight, and I eat about more than 50% of my health in Power Sting damage. So, not the greatest, but we dropped Spider-Woman in under a minute, which, you know, isn't bad. But we're going to run back to Fade, because obviously I don't want to just sacrifice half of my health at the end of a fight, especially in Battlegrounds, you know. So we're going to run it back. And yeah, like I said, I would say Photon and Spider-Woman, you know, are very unideal matchups for him. It doesn't feel like those matchups were intended for him with the kit that was created. You know, High Evolutionary and MODOK, on the other hand, seem to be his bread and butter, right up his alley. So what we want to do is just push Spider-Woman to 2 bars of power, because we don't want to eat more special 1s in the block. That's what we're going to do. And then here you're going to see we're going to block it on purpose. So we're going to take the whole thing on block, because again, that's going to give us our Unstoppable passive at the end. So boom, get in there. And then we're going to drop the special 2. And again, if she wanted to evade anywhere in here, it would still probably connect because of the crush, which you're going to see that happen in a second. And what does she do? She throws another special 1 in my block. Oh my god. If you want to nerf Spider-Woman, kabam, nerf her throwing special 1 in the block. It's so stupid. But there, you see she evaded a bunch. Boom, she's still evading. But yeah, now she's dead. The Incinerates are doing good damage. And we finished that fight full yellow bar. And again, Despair is not going to be a problem for this guy, because he can't have his regeneration rate messed with. So he's just going to be able to heal and heal and heal. He can take so much damage. He's a glutton for punishment. 51-second fight. Full yellow bar finish. Not bad for a brute forcing his way through that matchup. Okay, now let's jump to a matchup that he absolutely was designed for, and that is MODOK. So rank 4 MODOK, buffed. Let's see how this goes. So we're gonna start the fight with a heavy. You wanna weave in a few heavies here and there. The max I think is 12 total, and you're only gonna get like 8 on the special 2. So ideally, get around 3 to 4 heavies off. That's great. So right there, boom, we just got hit. So that gives us the rage debuff, which is, you can think of that as just a regen buff if you want to. It's essentially the same thing for Frank. It's just going to be free healing. And then here you're going to see, now we can start to block those special ones and then immediately counter with the unstoppable. And watch this. He's dead. He's dead already. That was like a little over half a minute for a rank 4 MODOK. Just cooked so quickly. 35 seconds. And again, typically when you're fighting MODOK and you have regen, when you bait that special 1 for that short burst, he's gonna invert your healing and you're actually gonna be taking damage from your regen. But not Frank. He's immune to that garbage, so we don't gotta worry. So that first MODOK was way too easy, so we gotta go fight another one. So boom, round 2, another MODOK, a bigger MODOK. This would be essentially Frankencastle punching up in a battleground scenario. So boom, block that. There we go. Take a hit. Alright, now we get our regen up. Okay, I'm going to evade that because I want to heavy. Alright, there we go. Go for a little double heavy action. And then again, block it. Get the unstoppable opening. Drop our special here. And you're going to see his auto block is going to come back. Boom. The auto block is back. He should auto block this. MODOK auto block specials. But he's crushed. So he cannot auto block. So we fully connect. Alright, now we need to go for another heavy attack, get that on cooldown, and we could be also using our crushed to bypass the auto block. We can totally do that. I'm just playing the fights a little bit safer, just kind of playing it my own way, which is totally fine if you want to play it that way, and I'm also still learning Frankencastle. But yeah, throw another special, and that's punching up against a bigger MODOK, still under a minute, I believe. What was it? It was 58 seconds? 57 seconds, bro. He's just chef's kiss against MODOK. Absolutely one of his ideal matchups. I'm sure that when his kit was being made, that matchup was in mind. Alright, now let's go and get to another recently buffed Science Champion defender, and that is Rhino. So this matchup absolutely works, but it's a really weird one because, Rhino's going unstoppable, we're going unstoppable. It's a little crazy. But the good thing here is that Rhino's all about building up that physical resistance, and Frankencastle's all about getting the big energy damage payoff. So it kind of works out. But one thing to keep in mind is that Rhino's unstoppable is going to be a lot longer than ours. So we need to be careful. Right here, I somehow get in this crazy combo. He's crushed. We're unstoppable. We drop the special 2. It does a buttload of damage. Here, I get hit. But again, there's a bunch of debuffs on me. I'm healing for 922 right now. We're just healing all that back. Just healing it all back. And then here, get his unstoppable on cooldown. Boom, get my unstoppable. Drop another special. And he's dead. So I played that far from perfect. However, the result is all the same. Full yellow bar. 52-second fight. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Alright, and for the final matchup I want to showcase to you guys, we're actually going to be jumping outside of the class wheel now to tech to fight Arnim Zola. So yes, Frankencastle is actually a pretty solid Arnim Zola counter. Why? First off, his heavy just animation range, it just is kind of perfect. Like every time I tried to counter his heavy with my heavy, it connected. Like pretty much I don't remember a time it missed. Can't say that about like 90% of characters in game. So that's awesome. So boom, counters heavy with my heavy. It's easy. It doesn't even feel difficult. And then here we're gonna block the tail end of his special, get our unstoppable cooking up, drop our special 2. Alright, boom. You can see it's really doing like no damage, but it's fine. What matters is building up the big burst. So boom, go in here, and then we're going to go for a heavy. Boom, there we go. Get a handle on his charges. And boom, unstoppable counter. Get in here, we're going to drop our special 1, and you can see 38,000, 38,000, 38,000. Getting off some big damage. Here I get hit on purpose, kind of, and then rip another special, and he's dead. So his ESP charges were up there. He was at 3 bars of power, but none of that matters if he's dead. So, yeah, there's Arnim Zola down in under a minute. coming out of that fight with more than 90% health. Again, I played that fight far from perfect, but Frank is Frank the Tank, man. He's just going to brute force his way through. And it's a lot of fun as well. So again, that was too easy. Let's ramp it up. Let's go to the next level of Arnim Zola. Here, that was a little bit of a crazy combo I somehow managed to connect. And that did put our Crushed on cooldown. That's also why, like, if I don't need to use the Crushed, I try not to. But there we go. Using a heavy looks like it just took away the cooldown, which I actually didn't even know. There's still so much I have to learn and, like, get better at playing this guy. He's definitely not a champ that you can just pick up overnight and immediately have him mastered. You know, he's got a lot of nuances about him, but I like that. And so here, bait the special 2, and then go for a light heavy. Here I'm trying to connect another heavy, didn't quite work. Here, get hit on purpose, trigger the rage, we're getting some regen, and then boom, special 1. But again, his ESP charges are getting up there, so I need a heavy. Boom, there we go, land the heavy. Here he hits me with his heavy, but then we're going to bait his special. And I totally missed. I just want to get off this special 1 before all my incinerates fall off. Boom, we get it off. 25k on those hits because I only have 3 of my berserks instead of 6, so we lost some damage. But right there, get off another heavy attack, get those ESP charges under control. And yeah, we kind of lost all of our damage output at this point. Our berserks have fallen off, our incinerates have fallen off, but he's almost dead, so we're almost there. Drop the special 1. Didn't really do too much. Go for a full combo. Doesn't kill him, but then he dies to the incinerate debuffs that were left on him. So minute 34, coming out of that fight with 88% health. Again, I played that far from perfect, but we're brute forcing our way through, and we're tanking hits, and we're just healing. So yeah, dude, that's all the gameplay that I have for you guys on Franken Castle. I had way more fun playing this guy, and I feel like I yielded much better results opposed to when I was playing Dracula. Both of these champions have a 4 out of 5 damage attribute rating. Frank, that's a lot more realistic. Dracula, there's no shot in hell. Like, there's absolutely no shot in hell. So yeah, Dracula needs to be buffed. I think they did a great job with Frank, though. I think he's a really weird, unique champ, and he's a lot of fun. He's definitely not going to be the next Okoye on attack. He's not going to be the next Bullseye on defense. He's not going to be the next all-arounder like Nick Fury. But he's a really fun champion, really wacky, weird, cool. Definitely is going to have some good uses, you know. Just the fact that his regen can't be reduced, and he's got those immunities to poison, specter, petrify. That's some really solid utility in and of itself. And if you can learn the play style, you can get pretty good results with it in a plethora of matchups. So even matchups that he doesn't seem intended for, like Photon and Spider-Woman. So yeah, guys, that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up from all my thoughts on Franken Castle. I like it. I think I would maybe even potentially rank for him if I got him. I have skill awakening gems. Can always use more skill champs. He's weird and fun. I like him. Like I said, I don't think he's the next craziest best skill champ in the game or anything, but I think he's absolutely going to have his place in the game. And yeah, just overall pretty solid champion. Pretty cool spooky addition to the game. Alright guys, gonna wrap it up for this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. And thank you so much for getting the channel to 120,000 subscribers. It means a lot. Thank you guys. Peace.